Hi, my name is Osan. I'll be your trainer today on AWS Cloud. Just quickly run through a demo and taking it step by step to create a specific architecture. So the goal for today will be we're creating a file sharing with elastic file system. So acronym EFS. So we are going to look at the architectural structure, and the structure will be a guide for what we are going to achieve today. So just an interpretation of the structure. First, this is the platform, which is the AWS cloud. We are going to define our region, and then we come straight to the availability zone. Take a careful look. We have US East 1A and US East 1B. That means we have two availability zone, and in each we have an instance with an 8 gig root volume. For 8 gig root volume is associated with Amazon Linux. So this will be a Linux server. And here as well, we can see another instance or another server created in a different zone with the root volume as well. But now we need to create a shared folder system by using EFS. So the process is pretty much very simple. So we are going to connect instance 1 to a SharePoint, instance 2 to a SharePoint by the NFS protocol for file sharing. This is specifically for file sharing across the region. So the steps is pretty much very simple. As we proceed, I want you to take a careful look at the process. Now, this is my platform, which is the AWS cloud. I'll click on EC2. I'll click on instance, click on launch instance. At this point, I can choose any region that the website will be launched in, physical geographical area where it will be launched in the cloud. So I'm going to leave it as default, US. I'm going to give it a name, so let me give it that is the name and tag. So I'm going to leave it as Amazon Linux. This is the operating system I'm using. This is the instant type by default. I'm going to leave it as T2 micro. You can see the contents: 1 CPU, 1 gig memory. So I'll go down to set my key. Furthermore, I'll come here directly, edit. I'll select my availability zone under the subnet. I'm using the US East 1A because we are going to create two. So I'm going to specify which is this and where this server is going to be launched. Security group. So we are looking at the firewalls, restrictions, all the restrictions of traffic and connections will be done under the firewall. So at this point, let's take a careful look. If I have an existing, I select directly, but I can create one right on this. Okay, at this point, I'm going to create one. I have to go down a little bit, and we look at the inbound security group rule. So now, looking at the architecture, For a Linux, we need an SSH with a port range of 22. On this architectural structure, we have the NFS as a protocol. So I'm going to create a traffic that will allow NFS, okay, anywhere. And because it's a web server, we'll make it public by allowing the HTTP and HTTPS. This is the security features that I'm going to work on right now on this cloud. So we have the by default SSH port range. I'm going to add second to make it public, and the port range is 80. Customize type anywhere. Select another. I'm going straight down to HTTPS and the source type anywhere. And finally, another network protocol I'm going to include on this. I'm going straight down to our NFS. I'm going to click anywhere as well. So I've set up my security features on this instance. So run down, we have the capacity here, which is the volume, 8 gig, and we have a GP3, which is the root volume. That is perfectly fine. The next thing, I'm going to use the advanced details for a line command. So we are going to use an advanced details session. Go straight to the user. On this user data, I'm going to put a script. So go straight down, look at. So I'll copy this, paste it here. Now I'll come to the summary and look at it here. We have number of instance 1. We have the software image. We have the instance type. We have the security group, and we have the number of volume. So let's quickly look at the infrastructure again and see what we have achieved, and then we can launch our instance. So we have two similar process in 1A, 1B. In 1A, we have an instance and a root volume. In 1B, the same instance and a root volume. The security feature include NFS, includes the HTTP and HTTPS, and because it's a Linux, it has the SSH. So this and this are similar, but the difference is the name tag on the server and the region, and the zone, available zone where it is. Place the name tag and the available zone where it is located. So now on this process taken to create this server, I can choose to create Now I've launched the server. I have it here. Look at the instance or the server ID. So the initial stage is showing us, state is showing us pending. I'll have to refresh. Let's see what the status would be. Now it's showing us running, and the status check is still initializing. I'll give it a little bit of time to have an update here. So give it 2 to 3 minutes. We'll have the status change from initializing to 2 of 2 pass or 3 of 3 pass. So while waiting for the status update, now I've clicked on refresh. We can see it here as the status check, 2 of 2 check pass. So I want us to look at something here on our security. So we can see all the protocols here and the port range. We have 2280, we have 2049, and we have 443. If we take a closer look at the network, we see all the network settings that we have created on this instance. So just a moment. Under this, we can see all the network setting in this instance. So we have created similarly the HTTP, HTTPS, and we have our NFS that was created. So at this point, I can choose to create another instance in a different location that is a mirror of this particular instance. Or I can choose to go to select this instance, go to action, go to image and templates, and I can create or launch more like this. Launching more like this actually create a template, a pre-feed template. All I have to do is to change the name, the operating system, the instance type remains the same. Select a key. I can choose to use or create a key. Now in this network setting, this is where I'm going to make some change. The availability zone is showing us 1A, but what I want is to create another in 1B. That is the change. Everything remains the same, all the information. So we go through the summary, just a quick summary, and then we are going to launch. So by using more like this, I just copied the existing server and then did some modification. So I'll click on the instance ID and take a quick look at this. You can see it is on the availability zone 1B. It's running and the status is showing us initializing. So I'm going to wait as well to have the status as 2 over 2 check. So this brings us back to our architectural structure to see we have what we have achieved. We have in this availability zone, we have created the instance, we have achieved the 8 routes that comes by default. We have created this network, we have achieved this, which is the second instance in a different availability zone, and we have created this network. So what we'll be looking at is creating an EFS and mounting it on the network that links the EFS and the instance. So we have achieved this with this protocol, network protocol, this with this network protocol. So I'll be focusing on EFS. So I'll go back to my instance, and while I'm waiting for this update, just click on refresh. So once this update is done, I'll proceed to creating an EFS. Now, at this point, we can see this check as 2 of 2 check passed. So now we are looking at straight on going to the EFS. So type in EFS and click on EFS. So at this point, I'm going to create another EFS. Click on create EFS. I'll have to create a name for the EFS. EFS. Okay. And we're using the default VPC, so I'm going to click on create. So we have it here, a unique ID, and this is what we have created. So at this point, I can select and click on the ID just to see how it looks in. We have attach because we are going to use the attach function very soon. So we have the network here. Under the network, you can see it's creating. Man target state is showing as creating. So I'll have to wait a little bit for this state to change from creating to available. So just as we have on the structure, we have achieved everything in this availability zone 1, availability zone 2. We have defined the network protocol here, which is NFS, make it public as well. And also we are here creating the EFS storage service here. So I'll go back to the AWS Cloud interface. So let me see if the updates has changed to available. So they are both available, but the next thing we have to do, we have to check the network setting. Okay, I'm going to manage the setting. I'll look through. We have default, okay, security group, but this is not what we want. I'm going to change the default security group to the security group we created. So let me go there. So at this point, without a name on the security group, it becomes a bit of a challenge because we have a whole lot of security group here. So what I'm going to do, not to make a mistake, in case you have similar issue, I'll have to cancel this. I'll go back to the EC2 which I have created. I'll go to the instance. We can see it here. We have the two running. I'm going to select either because they have the same content. I'll come to security. I'll click on the security group. So this is the network security group which we have here. So I can go back to security group. So we have a lot of security group. So the best way to actually identify the security group by going to the instance you select, we have to go straight to the security group again. And to each of the security group, we are going to see what the ID is. So we have it as Launch Wizard 6. So this is the security group that we'll be looking for to use. So I'll go quickly to my EFS. Now I have an idea of what specifically I'm looking for. Select the EFS that I've created, click on the ID, go straight down to network. We are managing the network setting of the EFS. So now we know the security group we should be looking at. It's not default, so it is this. Select that. The same with the second region, so I'm going to select this. So we are establishing the network, and I'll click on save. At this point, I'll go back to the EC2, which we have launched. So this is the first region, this is the first availability zone, second availability zone. The two of them, they are running. We can see the status as check. So looking at this, these two have been achieved. The network connection has been done. The EFS has been created. Practically, we are done with the setup of this architectural structure. But what we are going to do is to do a test, and that will be done on the EC2 instance. So here, please just follow closely. I'm going to select the first, going to click on connect. We are going to mount the EFS on each of these instances and then create a share folder. So that is what we are trying to achieve here. So straight down, I'll click on connect. So I'm getting a line interface. You can clearly see this is Linux website 1. On this line command, I'm going to put some command instruction to initialize it. So on this is the script and this is the website, okay, on the line command. So I'll go back quickly. I've created the first. I'm going to the instance and creating and connecting the second. So we have the second. So the second, and we have the first. So we are going to mount on this the EFS on individual server. So what I'll quickly do is run to the instance, click on the EFS which we are working on. Now I'm going to select this, click on the ID, click on attach. At this point, I'm going to copy so I'll copy the EFS mounting helper. So I'm going to copy Okay, just observe there are two of them. One is for clients and just one is for helper. So what we are using is for the client, please. I'll come to the instance. I'll paste, but I'll have to remove some information here and I'll replace it with so when we go straight to the architectural structure, we'll be able to see that here. So we are taking the EFS tag on the command line and replacing it with this. At this point, I'll click on enter. So I'll go back again. So we can see here that there's an error message showing command not found. So I'm going to paste it again carefully, just please, and I'll click on enter. Yes, this has been accepted. So the next thing I'm going to do as a test, confirming that whatever information I type in on our first instance will reflect on the second instance. So at this point, I'm going to the instance as well, just to show you how the website is and the content on the website. I'm going to click on run just to keep the housekeeping within the two instances created. I'll go to the public IP of the first, select it, so we see it by default is showing as it works. This is on the first instance. Let's see the same for the second instance. It works. So by default, both instance 1 and instance 2 is showing the same information. But now with the configuration, whatsoever resource I place on this instance 1, it replicates itself in instance 2. So at this point, I'm going to get my first resource, a line command. Go back to our structure here. This is the instance 1. This content will be shared. So this is done. So I'll go back to our launch website. I'll click on refresh. So this is the content. And remember, it was only placed on the first, not on the second. But the beauty about this configuration is this: whatsoever resource is placed on this line command 1 is shared across the instance. So look at the second, which is the second, which is server here. It's showing us it works, but when I click on refresh, you see that it has updated from the second server. I can access the same information. We go back carefully. The resource was placed in the first line command and not on the second. So as we upload our resource on the first, it is shared across the second, and this is done by the help of the EFS. So the process looks a bit long, but from the architectural structure we can easily check this structure process. It is on the cloud platform, the same region, different zones, instance with a root volume, instance with a root volume. Now the network setting include the NFS, HTTP and HTTPS, and then we have to launch the EFS, create a new EFS, change the security or the network states, and with this we are going to copy the command line from the attach to enable us mount it on individual instance. And once that is done on the line command, then we can now share files across the two availability zone or multiple availability zone. So thank you so much. I hope you understand what has been done, and I hope this training session is beneficial. Thank you.